You're a pain. Okay, there. We're live everywhere. Now we're live everywhere.
We're live everywhere. We're live. I didn't get to put on my music.
Well, I asked you to. You didn't do it. That's what happens when you don't listen.
I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna do it. What are you gonna do? Are we live? Is Facebook working? Elkie's on. We're live. Woo! What's up? What's up? What's up? How we doing, everybody?
That's live. We're live now.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
We made it.
We made it.
Yeah, we're in. We're in. We're in. Hi, Elkie.
In. You guys missed our little tiff. Jennifer got to see the whole thing.
You guys don't know how annoying Raymond can be on the back end of things. Like, so look at him, look at him, look at him. I'm sharing everywhere.
Woo! Good evening, everybody. How are we doing on this wonderful Wednesday? This is your Wednesday night podcast with this. What? No, is it still Transformational Talk?
Yes, that's what it's called. Transformational Talk with Ray and Sarai. And today we're going to talk about now is the time, guys. Now is the time to make your move. I'm not even letting Ray talk.
This is why'd you get all close and personal?
Now is the time.
So, good evening, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. This is your Wednesday grind. This is your Transformational Talk with Ray and Sarai. I am your man, Raymond. I am your motivator. I am your inspirator. But like I say, most importantly, I am your transformator. Today is the day. Today is the day. Every day you wake up, I want you to say to yourself, today is the day. I come live every morning at 6:45 to let you guys know how great. Started Right Way Leadership and Transformational Coaching was because I truly want to serve the leaders that are up and coming, the people, the entrepreneurs, the people who are ready to level up in life. If that's you, then let's just keep showing up. Let's just keep showing up for ourselves, keep showing up for each other. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Invite your mama and your papa. Invite everybody you want to, because we believe that these last 3 months, is it 3 months left in the year?
It's
3 months,
today
right?
is 100 days. No, today makes 100 days. We're 100 days away from
100 days.
Yep.
Listen. Amazing things can happen in 100 days. Amazing things can happen in 100 days. Who's ready to go to the top? Like, who's ready to start climbing that mountain? Who's like, I want to know. Like, I'm so excited. I can't, like, the last couple mornings I've been so fired up, man. Like, I even curb on Saturday. I blew my tire out. Like, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I don't know what's going on, but these 100 days left, man. Whew, man. Yeah. What do you think about it? Why you look like you're angry?
Oh, like, guys, if you guys were watching 2 seconds ago, you would know. Jennifer knows. I've been like, every time I talk to Raymond today, I was like blowing fumes out of my ears. That's what happened. Anyway, but
I don't even know.
Hi, Elkie. Hi, Laura. Hi, Dahlia, Sam, Jennifer, all you guys. So today is are we going to introduce ourselves first? If you guys don't know who we are, we should first introduce ourselves. So I'm going to introduce myself first. My name
I already introduced myself.
I didn't introduce myself. My name is Sarai Moore. I am
a licensed introduce yourself.
If you would let me. My name is Sarai Moore. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. But here we are. I'm a trauma therapist, but I am also really passionate about transformation and positive psychology and all of that. And that's what we're doing here. We're talking about what you could do to transform your life. We're talking about the next 100 days, how you could squeeze out as much as you can out of the next 100 days, which today is day 100. So tomorrow's day 99. And that's what we're talking about today. What do we need to do to set ourselves up for 2021. We do not wait till 2021 to set ourselves up. Everybody has, the goals for 2021, and I'm going to start my diet in 2021, and I'm going to do whatever it is in 2021. But no, we need to start now. We need to get going now. So that's what we're talking about today. Is everybody ready? Raymond, are you ready?
I can't share. Why can't I share? Why do I have so many problems with this thing?
I don't know, but we're not going to continue with that. We're not going to continue with that.
Listen, I need help. I need help with technology sometimes. Where are my kids when I need them?
Share it later. Look, Laura already said.
Sam asked me if I took my meds.
Matt, we need to get started. Yes, we need to get started. So
yes, today listen. There's this. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the story. I'm not going to go too far into it. And I can't remember his name, but it's back in the day. I don't know how long, but there were Spanish ships that used to go over and they would steal all the jewels and all the gold. And as they were coming back, the pirate ships would target them. And I can't remember the names of the ships, but excuse me, there were some ships that sunk. They sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and for years and years. There was a gentleman who pinpointed the location, right? If somebody knows his name, say it for me. But he pinpointed the location, and he spent 20-something years, day after day. The government tried to stop him. People threatened to kill him. People stopped investing in him. His son died in a boating accident. And every day for 20 years, he woke up and said, today is the day. And eventually, after 20-something years, he finally, and you can look back in history, it was the biggest gold find. They found 20-foot-long silver bars and gold and jewels. And still to this day, they're pulling up stuff from this ship. It's one of the amazing. But he had the mindset, and he had a dream. His dream, his why was so big. Disease, nothing stopped him. The government literally sunk his ship. The government put a stop on him, and they just kept moving. They just kept going. And his mindset, every morning, he said, today is the day. Do you have what it takes? Not even for 20 years. Do you have what we're such an instant gratification. Do you have what it takes for 20 days to say today is the day? Today is the day, with a positive attitude, even when your dog bites you, even when you stub your toe, even when you slip in the shower, even when you bust your tire. Do you have what it takes to say today is the day? I don't know where that story came from, but Sam said I didn't take my medicine, so.
Well, you know what? Today is a day, but today has to be the day, whether you feel like it, whether you don't feel like it, whether whatever. And you know what? I'm glad Ryan and our people are here, the ones that are here all the time, because you guys know I've been showing up every week with Raymond, not on my other show, but with Raymond every week, even though I've had funerals, burials, and all this stuff. I've come on here with tears in my eyes, and I'm still showing up. So that isn't something I've normally done. Normally, if today wasn't the day, then it just wasn't the day. So I am really, I'm just challenging myself so much to make every day the day, whether I feel like it, feel good, feel good, feel sad, could show up with my tears or whatever it is. I've been showing up every day. I wanted that to show you that it could be done. If you want to lay in bed all day, well, you could do that. And you know what? You could sit up on your bed and do what you got to do anyway. That's what I want to say. But that's not really what today is about. So today, remember that we switch off on days. Today is my day. And so today I want to talk about destiny moments. And I want to share with you, I've shared before, but I want to share with you what that means for me. So I've talked about before about having downloads, and I always talk about my spirit speaking to me. And Raymond has taught me a lot about the Bible and different things like that. So now I'm starting that my son always calls me in the middle of a live every time.
Do you know there's a ringer button on the side of that?
All right, so anyway,
iPhones make the little buttons on the side. I'm just saying.
So I want to talk about the destiny moments. For me, it's like when I get a download about something, which what I call a download is like it could just come out of nowhere. Like I could be for days trying to figure out the name of something, or I'm not even trying to figure something out. Maybe I know I want something, but I'm not sure what it is. And then I might be like taking a walk or working out or just doing anything. And all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere like a meteor, and bam, I get the idea. And I know that in that moment, I have to either write it down, I have to take action with it, or else I'll just disappear and I'll lose it. That's what I call a destiny moment, because if we don't capture that and acknowledge it and recognize it as a message from the divine, as a message where this is the moment for me to get that, like maybe it could even be for a year, but all of a sudden when you least expect it, it shows up. I've learned that to me is a destiny moment. It's a moment where I got it now. This is when I was meant to receive it, and this is when I'm meant to do something with it. The thing is that many of us get those messages, but we do nothing with it. We get excited about it, and we think, oh, I need to do something with it. But then, as the excitement of doing something with it, what do you think pops up next? The next thing that pops up are those thoughts that go, well, you know what? Maybe now is not the time. Or you know what? Maybe I don't have enough money for it. Or maybe I'm not good enough yet. Or maybe I don't have the skills to do it. Or maybe, all that fear talk starts showing up and starts limiting you and what you're doing. So that's what I'm talking about today. Today, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how when you get one of those downloads and this is the moment, this is your destiny moment, I want you to recognize it as the destiny moment and take it for that. Whether you have the resources, the people, whether it appears, whether this appears like the right moment or not, I want you to capture that moment and say, thank you, God, and then take it and do something with it. Just get started with it. Does that make sense to you, Raymond? What do you think?
Absolutely, but I wanted to ask you a question. So we know that fear is huge. So when people have a destiny moment, right? Why do you think people? So how do I want to question this? Why, when people have a destiny moment? Because I believe everybody at one point or another, even multiple times, will have these destiny moments. These moments where it's like, that life transforming thought that they have, and then it dwindles away as fast as it comes. Why do you think that is? I see it so many times. I hear people talk, you can feel it in their pain. People will talk about something, but they talk about it, even at 30 years old, they talk about it as if it can't happen again. Like what causes that? And it's not like go deeper than just fear. Like what I don't even know if it's definitely a fear, but like where does that stem from?
Well, for me, it's as simple as fear. I think it's for me, what I taught in the Rise Up Masterclass is the fear of not being enough, the fear of actually for people to notice that we're not enough, or for me to realize I'm not enough or not good, whatever. It all stems from not being enough. So we might get excited about a thing, but as soon as that other talk pops, we need to do something about that, because that will totally sabotage that moment, that destiny. I don't think, we get a certain amount of those in our lifetime. Let's say we get a certain amount of inspirations, and I also wanted to say the difference between that. So there's inspiration and there's thoughts, and our thoughts are the things that come to us from our previous experiences, from our previous things that have been said to us, from all those things. We have thoughts, but an inspiration is very different. Inspiration is that thing that excites you, that you feel it in your heart, and you feel that it's something that moves you. It's like passion, and that's what I'm talking about. When you get one of those, you have to move on that. You know that you have to move forward on that, but then it's such a big deal. It's like when people say dream so big that it scares you. Well, sometimes it's about us dreaming so big, but other times it's about we get this sudden inspiration, which I call it the download. I call it the download to move on something. But then the minute we get that, we're like, "Ooh, but I'm not ready for it." And then we start thinking logically. Then all of a sudden we become realistic, and we start thinking, well, I think it's a better thing if I wait for a year until I do this and I do that. But maybe it came to you now because now is the moment that you needed to move on it. Maybe this is a time period that God is saying, hey, move on it. And you need to get an agreement with God and go, yes, I'm going to move with it. So that's what I'm speaking of. Like, and I'm sure, like, I want to hear from the viewers. Like, have you ever experienced that moment? Have you ever experienced getting a download, feeling excited about it, and then all of a sudden feeling terrified to even do anything with it. Have any of you ever experienced that? Just let me know.
What's up,
Mimi saying,
Mimi?
so have you
So
experienced that, Raymond? Have you ever experienced that? I'm sure. I mean, I think we've all experienced that. Have you?
So I think so. This is this. So I'm going to take it into a biblical kind of to a biblical side real quick. So there is in you know, they talk about destiny a lot in the Bible, right? For those. So in Ecclesiastes, which is I think one of your favorites now, you're studying Ecclesiastes, and Ecclesiastes was written by, you know, King Solomon, which was known to be the wealthiest, probably the wealthiest person to ever live. He had everything he needed, but he understood, you know, about knowledge and wisdom and the things of this world, but he was still took over by many of the fleshly things. So what it talks about is the same destiny ultimately awaits everyone, whether righteous or wicked, good or bad, ceremonially clean or unclean, religious or irreligious. Good people receive the same treatment, and people who make promises to God are treated like people who don't. So we are all here on this earth. We are all here, right? If you're listening to me, you're alive. If I'm talking, I'm alive, right? So this is what I want us to understand. We all have ears that listen. But I do believe that those destiny calls are blocked sometimes by the hardness of our heart, because of our pain, because of our suffering, because of our trials, because of the things that we endured as children, or even as young adults, or even as adults, such as divorce, as things that really left you crippled, really left you for dead, right? The suicidal thoughts, whatever it is, right? We live this life of pain. And because of these things, our heart becomes hardened to what could be. Our heart becomes hardened to who we could be. And those destiny calls to from my knowledge and reading the word and knowing that the Holy Spirit is alive and well in each and every one of us. The problem that we have and the problem that we endure as people is we become so hardened and so angry and so bitter and so destructive that those noises that we hear are canceled out by the hardening of our heart. So what we need is we need great people like Sarai. We need great people like Matt Gill. We need great people like Ryan King and Carrie. And we need people that are constantly adding value and encouraging and loving. Well, yeah, I don't, yeah. I sometimes people just say that's the yell guy. That's the guy who yells a lot. But so when the problem that we have is because the way we grow up, what do we not do? We don't seek better. We think that we can only have what we've only known. And that is a scary place to be in. So when those destiny moments call, we can't respond because the disbelief, the how could really me? Who am I? I'm not that person. I'm this guy. I'm that guy. I was this and this happened to me. And we start to get that all those things where the Holy Spirit, the Spirit is telling you, you got a gift. This is what this, and you get that joy. You ever been in a place and you see something and you just get joyful and you don't even know where it's coming from? And you're like, holy crap, what was that? What's wrong with me? Like you get this just, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in a dark state, I would get this excitement every once in a while. And I'd be like, that was stupid. That's a bad feeling. Go away. But it really was a good feeling. But I didn't understand what good felt like. I didn't understand what joy felt like because of that brokenness, but once I got around people who started to tell me, that's the most important thing. When I got into that car accident in 2014, the most phenomenal and fascinating things happened. The words people said to me changed, and I heard them differently because my spirit was open. My heart started to become broken down. The bitterness started to leave. The hurt started to leave because people started to tell me things like that were encouraging. They would tell me things like, oh, you don't have to be what they told you. You don't have to live a life of your past. If you want to be successful, Ray, you can be successful. If you want to change the things, Ray, you got to be willing to change the things. And then I started to ask questions. This was one of the biggest questions I asked ever in my life. How? That's all I wanted to know. How?
Look at that curiosity. You didn't allow the fear to overpower you. And for a minute you did. And still we do, right? We still do allow fear to somehow to overpower us in some points. But that other side, the curious side, the excited side, finds a way. So it's always a battle between the two. It's always a battle between the light and the dark. So then what everything you just described is fear, which is everything that I was talking about a minute ago. And I love the way like you described it in like a rainbow of ways. And I think everyone here could identify with all of that because fear comes from our past. The only reason why we have fear is because we experienced something and then we project it into our future and go, ooh, what if it could happen again? Like if you had a relationship with someone that hurt you really bad and cheated on you, and then all of a sudden someone shows up in your life and you really want a relationship, but then this person is making you feel those feelings that are awesome, but then on the other side, they're terrified because, oh man, now I'm going to feel what I felt before. And then you bring up all that stuff from the past to the current and tag it on this person, which that person has nothing to do with what happened in the past, right? Yeah. But that's how we sabotage ourselves because we drag in the fear. And that's the difference between thoughts and inspirations. And we allow the thoughts to overpower that amazing inspiration. And then the other thing is that I want to share you guys like a little thing we tell ourselves. We always say like, oh, you know what, this maybe not now, like someday I'll do that or later on I'll do that. So I want to share with you this quote that I got from the first time that I ever listened to Tony Robbins, which he says, "The road of someday leads you to the land of nowhere." And I've never forgotten that quote. Awesome. As tough as it is, whenever I never say that anymore. I never push into the future like that because then I'm thinking like, no, I gotta do it now because then I'm gonna, it's a reminder that you're really, if you leave stuff for someday, you're gonna end up that the law of diminishing intent, which we talked about before. The law of diminishing intent is as time goes by, you lose the excitement, right? You lose the excitement, you lose the momentum that you had of whatever the inspiration, and then it becomes like it just sort of goes away, like how you were saying earlier. But guys, just write that down. The road to something leads you to the land of nowhere. And how many of us have gone on the road of someday? How many of us have been on the road of someday and ended up nowhere? Because then it just.
I think at some point in time, I seen Clinton. How you doing, Clinton? He just was talking about his moment was when he finally left corporate America as a high level executive, and he bet it all on his dream and himself. He took the leap of faith, scared but jumped. Like that statement right there is like, it's the most terrifying thing to do, but it's the most joyous thing. And it's the most liberating thing when you bet on yourself. When you bet on yourself against all the circumstances, and people probably looked at Clinton was like, "You would leave a high-paying job and security and a pension? Are you crazy?" And I always tell people this, right? The road. That's so funny that you said that. That really like punched people right in the below the belt.
By the way, I'm trying to get Clinton to be on my Thrive Talk.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that. You said something a minute ago. You talked about inspiration and thought, and this just popped in my head, right? And this is so right. I always tell you guys, I want to motivate you. Like I want you to get excited. I want to inspire you to get you to move. Right? That's with inspiration. Motivation is an exterior thing. You get pumped up. Right? But I don't want to be just a motivator. I just want to be obnoxious enough to get you to like, woo, yeah, I'm great. But I want to inspire you to actually get you off the seat, right? I want to get you off the seat. But inspiration and thoughts, two different things. I can inspire you, but if you're not having positive, influential thoughts that's where transformation comes in. Transformation to me, right? When we talk about biblical principles, transformation comes with a renewing of the mind. It's the thoughts. It's everything. It's the process, how we perceive things, how we process things, how we acknowledge things, how we interact with things, how we engage with people. Everything needs to change. I'm telling you right now, one thing that I've been learning the last couple weeks is even the last couple months is when people say, right, and I used to be one of them, and they say, focus just on your strengths. Focus just on your strengths. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you only focus on your strengths, you're only going to go so far. You need to better yourself in everything. Where are the top, where are the keys, right? Health, joy, fitness, exercising, relationships. You need to look at all these areas. Where do I lack and where do I need to get better? Continue to build your strengths, but why you focus on your weaknesses? We need to raise the level. I'm super excited right now.
Yes, I really know. You know what? And also, so Clinton mentioned leaving his corporate job. Carrie has left her job. You did it this summertime too. So I did that. I did the same thing like 15 years ago. I left an agency. I was the clinical director. I was making good money and home by 2:00. Like it was, and I know the owner of the agency needed me really bad. So I was in a good position. And I just thought, well, here, you guys may have already heard the story. He actually challenged me that I would never be able to open an agency. And the minute he said that, like in a week, I rented out a place. But besides that, I took the leap too. And I've never, I mean, I've worked so hard ever since then, but I've worked hard for myself. So
it's so different, right? Isn't it different? It's different though.
Yeah. It's so different. You end up working harder. You actually end up working harder because now it's all on you and you got to make it happen.
But
and
there's a purpose behind it. There's a purpose behind it. It's different when you're working for a purpose.
It's completely different. I've been able to like live out a lot of my ideas and dreams that I never thought possible because it was while working. When I first graduated, I always thought, oh, imagine owning an agency. That would be so cool. And all of the therapists, we would all get together. Imagine if we did this. And it was like imagine. It wasn't even an inspiration. That was a thought. It was like a thought of like, imagine what that would look like, and then, but once I did it, it was amazing. It's amazing. And now I've owned the agency for 14 years and now looking back, it's incredible to see how many lives have been impacted. So it's definitely worth it to take the leap. And let me tell you something, when you take the leap, you have no other choice but to figure it out. Like that, when you're sitting back and you think of it without taking the leap, you're like, well, maybe there's no motivation. But once you're thrown off, you gotta make it happen. You gotta figure out a way. You have to. You just totally have to figure out a way.
And when you know what you want, when you know what you want bad enough, when you're willing to put everything on the line, most people put so much emphasis on security. They put so much emphasis on paying their bills. There's so many people who only pay for the rent, so you'll be rewarded with your rent because we think so small. We're taught to think small. We're taught to think get by. We're taught to think live paycheck to paycheck. We're taught to think to live for a 45-year retirement plan that we're not even going to benefit the full amount that we put our own money into in the first place. There's all these trinkets that they put in front of you like we're puppets. And they want you to do and act and say and think, and that's fine and dandy. I'm not telling you that's a wrong move, but if it's not your move, if it's not gratifying, if it's not edifying, if it's not making you feel like every day, like you get exhausted being a coach, you get exhausted being a therapist, you get exhausted, right? But you get exhausted because your heart bleeds to serve and help other people, right? And you wish you had more time. You wish you could give it more energy. You wish you could go, but you still need to self-reflect and you still need to self-care and self-love yourself too, right? Miles Monroe said something. This is a great quote too. Miles Monroe said, "It's not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you are not." See, people always, so it's when you don't think highly of yourself, when you don't think yourself of being capable, So when you're dealing, when I'm dealing with people, I'll say when I'm dealing with people of anxiety and depression, and I talked about it today on my transformational thought with Ray talk, right? And I talked about people who suffer with anxiety and depression, and they call themselves empathetics, right? So I say you got to be careful, because a lot of times people suffer with anxiety and depression. They use the fact that they have empathy to stay where they're at. They say, I'm just so empathetic. That's what gets me down. And it's no, you use it as an excuse, because you don't even engage with that many people. You feel bad for your friend maybe, or you feel this, or you feel that. I feel like so many people suffer with addictions. Bottom line is when you're pursuing your destiny, you got to have thick freaking skin. You got to have thick freaking, what do they call it? Rhinoceros skin. Like, you're going to have to take some punches. You're going to have to take people cussing you out. You're going to have to take people telling you that you did them wrong, even though you know you did them right. But when people don't get the results because they're not doing the work, the first thing they're going to do is turn on you, right? So you got to understand, I see Zori said that she wants to leave corporate America. It's not that you want to, it's that you will. You got to have that mindset, Zori. I'm telling you, you got to understand, like, man, this is going to be, I'm going to have to put everything I got into getting out of this, but I will. When? Put a date on it and then start working towards that. Like, I truly believe that if somebody has the mindset to get out of where they're at, this is the first thing I'm going to say, right? If you really want to pursue a destiny, right? I'm going to lay this out here right here. I'm not telling you to quit your job, but I'm telling you to quit your job, right? But I'm going to tell you to quit it in a different way. I'm not going to tell you to quit it and start a company unless you're financially have money in the bank to where you can do. Don't do what I do and just, literally jump off Mount Everest, right? But this is what I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to tell you, what is your purpose? Like, what is your potential? What do you really want to do? And then leave the current position you're at. Apply for a position until you get it that's going to take you closer to what you want to do. Even if you got to take a pay cut, go to a position that's going to start to build those qualities, to start to build those things in you, right? Learn something new. Do something. Somebody told me one time, they said, we were talking and they were like, well, how long you been doing what you're doing? And I said, at the time it was like 14 years, right? And he said, I said, so yeah, I got 14 years experience. And he said, so what new have you learned? And I'm like, well, I've been doing the same thing. He says, so what you're telling me is you got 1 year experience, 14 years in a row. If you're not learning anything new, if you're not doing anything new, then you're not gaining any more experience. What's so funny?
That's funny. That was actually funny. You have 14.
Wow.
You have 14 years, but got 1 year experience.
You got 1 year experience because you're not learning anything. There was somebody that told me something one time. He says, if you're not constantly reading a new book, then your conversations are probably the same. Woo, man, that's powerful.
Yeah. And then you and I and a lot of people here like to read a lot of books. I am constantly reading books, but also when we're talking about like what we're talking about right now, I'm not only talking about the inspiration to leave your job, because maybe you're good at what you do in the position that you're in your I was going to say your agency, because that's all I think about in your company. Maybe you're good at doing that, but we might get inspiration for a lot of things. Like we might get an inspiration like to call someone that you haven't talked to in a long time. It could be so many different things. Maybe the inspiration could be, you're going down this road and maybe you get a feeling like, you know what, maybe let me turn this way. And maybe that saves you from an accident. Like when I speak about an inspiration, it could be many different things. And I'll give you an example. When my brother died June 5th, but the cardiac arrest happened March 31st. And I will tell you, maybe for 2 months prior to that, I kept getting these inspirations, and I'm calling them inspirations. I kept getting this nudge inside of me saying, hey, you know what? Call him and check up on him. Call him. Something kept telling me like, what if he isn't here for that long? Like that thought kept coming up for me in my head, and I wouldn't really take action on that. I might call and then hang up, and I wouldn't really take action on that. And it, thank God that March 31st that happened, but I thank God he called me on that Thursday before to ask me for a job for someone, or if I could help someone. And we ended up having such a great conversation. We even talked about something that had happened to us in our childhood that we hadn't never talked about. So that was such a great thing that happened. So when I speak of inspiration, it could be anything. It could be anything that just comes and it feels different. It feels different from just a simple thought. If that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it differently. So if you get those inspirations, to call your mom, to call that person that you haven't talked to in so long, because I think like one of the worst things that I could ever experience is regret. That pain of regret, whether it's not calling someone right before they passed, or it's that pain of the regret of, the time period that you had to take action disappeared, and now that opportunity is gone. That's another thing that happens, is that opportunity passes us by if we don't take action in that opportune time. And sometimes when that inspiration comes, that's actually, like, to me, I think that's a sign that I need to take action now. And like something that has been happening with me, that I keep feeling like I need to come live more often. I need to show up live more often on Circle of Champions, which I don't really do that on Instagram and all these places. And every day I say I'm going to do it today, and then around 3:00 I go, you know what? I'll just leave that for the land of someday, on the road of someday. I put it on the road.
You're doing the someday thing. Oh boy.
So what is the thing? I want to ask everyone, like, what is the thing that you guys are? I know each person on here has something inside of them that is similar to what I just described, in whatever way it is. Like, what is that thing that you need to make a move on, that you're not moving on because you keep saying, well, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. Whether maybe it's a diet, maybe it's calling someone, maybe it's reading that book, maybe it's, there's so many things that it could be. What is that thing? And maybe you being here today is
starting that business.
Starting that business,
Maybe it's going for that promotion that you're getting terrified because you don't think you're qualified enough. There's so many people who pass up on promotions at their work because they don't think they're qualified enough. I just wish people would take more sense of urgency. So that's what I hear through all that. What you're saying is, I hear urgency. I hear urgency. I'm 40 years old, right? 40 years old is not old, but when you have people every day that traumatic or these unknown things are happening to people, like, I believe. So when we go back, right, when I hear urgency and I hear people who don't move out and pursue something great, when that destiny is calling them, when destiny is calling them, and you don't sense the urgency. Look, I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you're 14, I don't care if you're 74. When destiny calls, have a sense of urgency to react immediately. You don't even got to know what the heck you're doing. Like, I don't even care. Like, you could be like, I don't know what happened. Call somebody that's maybe further along than you and say, dude, this just happened. I don't know what to do. And then watch them break it down for you. That's, again, why I think coaching is so critical. Coaching is absolutely critical. I want you guys, I truly do believe this too. So many times in the process of pursuing your destiny, you're going to have more bad days than good days, right? And I don't mean depression and all that. I mean more bad days. You're going to have more. I always say, this is what starting a company is like. Because starting a company, what are you doing? You're networking, you're contacting, you're building relationships, you're doing all this. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get no. You're going to tuck your tail between your legs. You're going to come home. You're going to call your coach. Your coach is going to be like, yeah, keep going, keep getting it. Because your coach knows, I've been there. I've done that. What do I do, coach? Go back out tomorrow. And you're going to go back out the next day and you're going to get no. And you're going to come home and you're going to be like, this is stupid. You're going to call your coach and your coach is going to be like, woohoo, yeah, way to go. Yeah, keep going. And you're going to go back out the next day and you're going to get no. And then you're going to get a yes.
You know what I just realized, Raymond? That this is why me and you fight so much. Because we hold each other accountable. Like, you say you want to do something, or I'll say I want to do something, right? And then the next day, whenever we talk, it'll be like, well, now I'm thinking this, or no, isn't this what you just said? You just said, you do it to me and I do it to you. Didn't you just say this and this? And then it's like, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. But it's like, it's really like holding each other accountable to what we said. It isn't about like he's cracking up because that's exactly what happens. Like we hold each other accountable to what we said, and that's what a good coach does. A good coach doesn't have an agenda for you. A good coach helps you tell us your agenda, and then we're going to help you. We're going to pay the path for you to hold your hand all the way through, but we're also going to say, hey, you're falling off track. Come on, let's get back on. And that might piss you off because I know it makes me mad, and God knows it makes Raymond mad.
Look, especially a great coach will help you. A good coach will help you with your vision. They'll help you narrow down your vision, okay? They're going to help you with these, we call them blocks. They're going to help you have these amazing breakthroughs. But so many people, like they'll get a coach and they'll be like, I've been working with you for 4 months and I'm not a millionaire. And it's like, well, dang, dude, you won't even read the first book that I gave you.
If you work with me, you're never going to be able to blame it on me because I'm going to be, wait, hold up. Don't you remember this and this and this?
Wait a minute. Sorry.
Like that. Look, Sam says we make a good
But I can assure you this, a coach will help you. They will help you and hold you accountable that you will get faster results. And I'm going to tell you this. Results ain't always something you grasp in your hands. Results is a relationship that's mended. Results is a child that comes home. Results can be anything with a changed mind. Right? It's the aha moment. I love Mimi. Me and Mimi been talking, and sorry to put you out there, Mimi, but Mimi's having these aha moments where it's just boom, it's hitting her. Boom. And then I'm telling you, when she sends me a message, I'm not going to lie. I'm like this. Woo, yeah. Woo. Like that's what you guys don't understand. When a coach sees a client or a student have a breakthrough, just in small things, that's what I do because I remember how broke I was. I remember how broken I was. I remember how much pain I was in. I remember just wanting to drive my car off a bridge. Like literally, that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I went from somebody being suicidal who didn't want people to talk to me to somebody who people run away from me now because I want to talk to everybody.
Yeah, guys, it's so true. Like, wow, like we could change so much. Like, let's just case in point, Raymond. I'm just kidding.
But I'm serious. If you guys would have knew me, listen, 20 freaking years ago, I mean, and I'm only going 20 years ago. You could go back to when I was about 12, 13, 14, right? I mean, anything that wasn't nailed down, bolted down, I was trying to take. There was things that I stole just because I wanted to steal. I didn't even want it. I just stole it because it wasn't mine. I just wanted people to hurt. I don't know if I can relay how much I hurt, how much pain I was in. And this outer surface was all about destruction. I had this death wish and I acted like it. Like I had no fear. But I mean, that's the problem. I had fear because I didn't want people to find out who I really was. Like that's the crazy thing. But now here I am at 40 years old. Huh?
And what an incredible transformation for you. Like you're such an example like of what an incredible transformation. So like anybody here, like people say, well, like I don't know how to change, or I don't want to change, or whatever it is. I don't know how to do it. It's mostly I don't know how type of thing. But look, Raymond did it. I can even tell you I've done it. Like we've all done it. Like everyone that you see showing up live, like everyone on the Circle of Champions, Ryan, like everyone who's showing up live, they've had a transformation. And that's why they're showing up with so much passion and so much to say, because they want you to have your transformation.
And if you look at, like, I see what Laura just posted, and she talked about how I piss her off without even knowing it. This is, but that's like, I want Laura to understand like how incredible it is to be able to first acknowledge that, right? Acknowledge that that's that's what you're doing, to accept it and to show back up, right? That to show back up and continue. Like, I believe that, Laura's already had breakthroughs, right? And I believe her biggest breakthrough is right around the corner. But we have to get through the pain. When the urgency that you got right there, the destiny that we have, I don't care. You are not going to get where you want to go without pushing through the freaking pain. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna cry. You're gonna scream. You might even throw some punches. I don't know, right? But I'm telling you, when you can continue to push through the pain, look, fear and the enemy and the devil, whatever you want to call it, that thing will subside. It will bow down when it sees a true warrior of God chasing after their destiny. It will bow down. It will move the heck out of your freaking way. It'll say, holy crap, I can't slow him down no more. Because when you get your train moving and you get your community of witnesses and you got people that are encouraging you and rooting you on and patting you on the back and edifying you and loving on you, you're going to be like, why not me? Why not me? And you're going to keep hitting that wall and keep hitting that wall. And eventually that freaking wall is coming down, baby. Like, I'm getting all excited. I'm about to.
I don't know why I'm so excited too. I am so excited too, because as you speak, I'm thinking about people who are so ashamed of their story. And look, I love what like Selena said. Selena said, it sounds like you were crying out for help and a lot of people failed you. And that is so true, Selena. When you said that mixed with what Raymond was saying, like sometimes we carry around so much shame because of our story. And when you really think about it, the worse your story is, the more difficult your obstacles were, the greater your testimony is, the greater example you are of how strong the human spirit is and how far you can make it. Because there's some people who have been through so much. They've been through complex trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, being abandoned, not having people to take care of you as a child, whatever all these things, but not just one, multiple things. And then they end up being incredible people, like the Oprahs of the world. Like, she's the example that came to my head right now. Oprah went to hell and back, and look at her. And she is such an example and such a testimony of, of how, of how we could really thrive if we only use some principles. If we take action, if we have faith. Faith is a major component of it. Having a vision is one thing. Having a vision and having the courage to face that vision, because sometimes we get a vision, we're like, oh no, I didn't want to think about that because I know I can't do it, and we literally turn away from the vision. So we have to be able to look at the vision, just sort of like embody the vision, and then have the courage to step into it, which is a big thing. Have the courage to step into it. And stepping into it doesn't mean, going all out. It could be a small step, because maybe your small step is small for me, but humongous for you. And that's all that matters. Like, all that matters is that you're taking some step. And if every day you take some step, today might be small, tomorrow might be medium, maybe you sprinkle a couple of big steps here and there, and mostly they're small steps. In 1 year, those things are all going to add up to huge progress. And what makes us feel happy isn't getting to the top of the mountain. What makes us feel happy is climbing up the mountain, looking back and going, wow, look how far I came. And then that gives you motivation to keep going a little bit more. And as you climb up the mountain and you look back and you go, oh, look at this, Raymond, look how far I came. Look at this. Look. And I start doing that. Guess what happens? I also get confidence. I get momentum. I get confidence. I get like so much energy. And all of that makes me want to go even farther up. So if you need to start with little steps so that halfway through you could go, wow, look how far I came, and then you start taking medium steps and bigger steps, then that's great. Then that's what you need to do. I will never criticize your steps if they're tiny, if they're like barely visible. But if you're taking if you spent all week long laying in bed, and today all you did was get up and take a shower and you went right back to bed, that's a step. That's a major step for me, because you got up and showered today. Maybe tomorrow you're going to get up and shower and maybe take a walk around your house. And for someone who has depression, that is humongous. just getting up to
It's
shower is
every
humongous.
day, one step farther.
One step farther.
See, she says she does criticize me for all my steps.
Oh, guys.
Hey, but I see my girl boss lady on here. That's Crystal. She's boss lady. You know, she's a great example. You know, and I think she's got like 18 or 19 employees now. And you know, she had a setback during the COVID thing, but she stayed persistent. And that's what she put up here is about persistence, and that's definitely her. And she's been an example in our community here in Hagerstown of persistence, and she's now doing, you know, better than ever. Like I respect the heck out of her. That's one boss lady. That's my buddy. I love her to pieces. But you know,
how persistence is. We've been talking a lot about, you know, taking the steps and all of that, and I wanted to jump into like how do we do it, but persistence is definitely part of how do you do it. How do you do it? That's part of the story.
So
part of the story.
I want to tell. I gotta say this quote from Winston Churchill, and this quote really sums up what anything else that we talk about. Winston Churchill said, "Success is going from failure to failure to failure without ever losing enthusiasm." Oh man. That's a great powerful. Think about that. You guys ever been around that person? And I'm that person at work. Like sometimes people just can't stand to be around me because when I'm at work, I'm high energy, high octane. How you doing today? Do you have a good weekend? And people, you know, and I'm like, why is that? Why is that? Why is that? Like they're like, dude, get away from me. And I'm like, that's all right. I'll go to the next one. Hey, how was your weekend? And they're like, oh, you know, it's Monday. And I'm like, what's wrong with Monday? I love Mondays. Don't you love Monday?
Yes. Annoying. So
but you know what? I will never let somebody else's negativity or the fact that they're not living their purpose interfere with how I want to treat them, right? Because eventually those people from going from failure to failure, and this is just in a relationship, eventually they're going to be like, there's something different about him and I'm not having a good day. I'm really angry. And they're going to say something to me and I'm going to be like, let's talk about that. And it just opens up so much. Did you know Oprah Winfrey has a coach? Did you know that some of the greats of all time,
everybody that
Nelson Mandela,
everyone
Nelson Mandela had a coach.
Of course, everyone that accomplished.
Crystal said we all need Ray in a workplace. I love that. Thank you. I feel the same way. I don't know why they keep trying to get rid of me. My like even my kids are like, oh my gosh, Dad.
You're not like that when I talk to you.
Well, you're always trying to be my boss.
Somebody's got to be the boss.
Woo! I don't know about all that.
All right. So wait, now I lost track. So I want to talk a little bit about the how before we get off. So you all know what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say.
Why
when
did you
I
try to talk country?
Was that country? I don't know. That's how I talk sometimes.
I don't know what I'm about to say.
Maybe that's a little bit of Kansas, so let me y'all know.
That's a great idea, Crystal. That's an absolutely great idea too. I really love that. That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right, so what would you do? What would you do with that?
What would I do with that? I mean, I think I would just I think my story and my kind of drive through corporate America and then how I see things could be different. So this is what happens a lot is people always find the ones that listen to them complain. This is what I started to notice.
Yeah, that's true.
There are people in work that all they want to do is complain. They want to talk about the boss. They want to talk about their right-hand man. They want to talk about the person that fills their shift. They want to talk about the person that sits in the office next to them. They always find the person who will listen to their complaints. The first thing I would say is stop being that person they're so comfortable with complaining to.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
I tell people, like, it's not, you're not, this is the thing. You are not doing anybody a service by listening to their complaints.
You're enabling them.
You're enabling them. The right thing to do, whether they hate you or not, is to say, hey, I understand. This is what my mentor taught. My mentor, I never heard him.
You're really great at you're really great at interrupting that pattern by asking a question that's very annoying. Like, you're good at doing that. Like, in the middle of a complaint, you're like, I mean, I think I've done this. I think I've been like complaining a lot to you, and then you'll say, so, and then you ask this really annoying question, and I'm like,
see, Laura, you're not the only one. but this is what my mentor taught me. My mentor said, Ben Franklin has it. Ben Franklin, if you guys have never read the 13 Virtues of Ben Franklin, go, whatever you think of Ben Franklin, go back and think of Ben Franklin, because his 13 virtues are powerful, right? And one of his virtues is never speak ill of no man unless it benefits him to his face, right? So this is the thing. My mentor said, if you're ever in a circle and you have a relationship with somebody and somebody comes into that circle and say, for example, and they're like, you know what? Sarai is just, and then you got to be the one to say, well, I know Sarai really well, and that doesn't seem like her. Why don't we go ask her? But my mentor was so serious. He said, people will take their complaints to somebody else, right? And that is one of the most powerful things. So if I'm working in a corporate environment, resolve. Thank you, Zori. See, I love Zori bought that book. It's a powerful book, right? So the one thing is I would say is if you got to ask yourself, am I the one that people come to complain? Because that says something about yourself.
Laura says you make her mad, but you make her better.
I love that, Laura. That's why I love her.
Laura, please do not give him any more, like, don't pump him up.
Clinton said he gives people the porcupine clothes.
What is that? What's that? What's the porcupine clothes? Do you know what that is? Porcupine.
I've never heard that. I'd like to know. But to me, like, when you think of a porcupine, like, you ain't gonna mess with no porcupine.
The porcupine what?
The porcupine clothes.
Well, I'm gonna ask him.
Huh?
I'm gonna ask him what that is when I speak to him, because I have no idea what that is. The porcupine clothes. I try to give Raymond the porcupine clothes, and then you know what he says? You see, this is why me and you, and he'll get all like whatever. His feathers will get all ruffled.
You guys have to believe that half the things she says are not true. Oh, question with the question. That's the porcupine clothes. Question with that. Clinton, those are the best ones because I use them all the time.
You do it all the time. You do it all the time.
I do it all the time. And you know what happens? You know what happens when I get with people, like, especially that are in the community or that are at corporate. So Clinton, this you'll like this one. So when I first got into network marketing, right, and I was sitting with people, and I started to really understand leadership. Like, I'm fascinated by leadership because it's so many people claim to be leaders, but so few people are. Like, it's the most fascinating thing ever. People just claim, I'm a leader. And it's like, well, who's following you? Like, because if you don't have any followers, they say if you're a leader out for a walk and there's no followers, you're just out for a walk, right? So, but I forgot where I was going with that.
I don't know. I got distracted.
So I sat with this guy one time, and he was so arrogant. He was so arrogant. I was sitting in this $1 million home, right? This big $1 million home. Huh? What?
I already know what you're gonna say. You said this story 1,000 times, but go because probably maybe some people haven't heard it.
Nobody heard. No. Listen. I was telling Clinton. This is between me and Clinton.
Apparently, because we all know where you're going with this. Go.
Nobody knows. Listen, I was sitting with this guy. I don't think nobody's heard this story. I was sitting with this guy across the table, right? His wife's not home. His kids are not home. He's like 53, 54 years old. He's been working at this large pharmaceutical company for 25 years. He's got like 3 freaking cell phones. He travels all the time. He's like a sales rep for him. He made like $500,000 a year, right? So we're talking, and he's talking down on me. And he's talking like, what would you know? What would some young punk snot kid like you know? And all I did was keep rebuttaling with questions and questions and questions and questions. And after an hour and a half, Clinton, this guy is in freaking tears. He's in tears, and he's telling me, I have a $500,000 lifestyle on a $250,000 income. My wife hates me. My kids hate me. Like he says, I'm getting ready to lose my job. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So. And it was all because I did not, but that was his pain. He lived in status. He lived in the status of his financial dismay. And he took it out on me, who was just trying to get to know him and tell him that there was a better way. Right. And we built a pretty good relationship from there. I haven't talked to him in about 2 years. But it just goes to show you that people they'll respond to you how you allow them to respond to you. So if people are always coming to you to complain, then you got to look in the mirror and say, why does everybody keep complaining to me? Well, look, what's your morning routine like? What do you do when you wake up in the morning, right? Do you wake up and immediately give thanks, or do you say, damn it, not another day, right? Because if you got that mentality going into work or that mentality going into meetings, then people are going to be like, yeah, I can really complain to that guy. He's going to listen to me. Sorry.
We got the quills. All right, guys. So look, now it's like, what time is it?
Exactly.
It's like, I don't know. It's like almost 9 p.m. But I want to end with my story, my repetitive story as well. The story I've said 1,000 times, but I will tell you.
How many people heard my story? I guarantee you nobody.
You'd say it in every other live of yours, every other Sunday.
You know what? You are wronger than the wrongest person.
Raise your hand if you heard this.
I bet you none of them have heard that story. Even you. You just want to say you have, because you know you're wrong. And you hate to admit that you're wrong.
Times, guys. What's the name of that guy? How can I forget?
Listen, when you're wrong, and she's wrong.
What's the name of that talk show with the big curly hair, the Jewish guy that I tell you that me and you are like that guy? What's his name?
The painter?
Howard Stern. I feel like this is Howard Stern. This is like we and you are like the Howard Stern show, except for I don't know who's Howard. I think
Laura,
I have like.
Stop it! You have not heard that story.
High five, Laura. High five. High five. High five. I know we've heard it 1,000 times, not 2, 1,000. But anyway, I want to tell you guys. Look, we started off talking about. Raymond, can you be quiet for a second?
Thank you, Elkie. Thank you.
What did she say? That she hasn't heard it?
That's the first time.
Listen, guys, destiny moments. We started off talking about destiny moments, and I'm pointing like this. So sometimes we might get lucky that we wait on our destiny moment and we sit on that inspiration that was given to us by our spirit, the universe, God, whatever you feel it comes from. I happen to believe that it comes from I was calling it my spirit all the time, but I think God is speaking to my spirit, and boom, it gives it to me, right? So I sat on the Circle of Champions idea for maybe a year and a half before I finally got the guts to do it. But I will tell you that if you do not act on those inspirations that come your way, that might start as a whisper, it's going to end up being like a brick falling on your head, and you might end up with big regrets. Because there's thoughts that happen, but that's not the same. Again, that's not the same. An inspiration is when you're moved to do something. And when you're moved to do something, you need to take action on that, because sooner or later, either you're going to regret it, or when you finally do it, you're going to regret not doing it because you're not going to have that chance again. Or when you finally do it, you're going to regret that you didn't do it earlier. So for me, like I've shared before, it literally took December 2018 for me to be pissed off, depressed, like just miserable because I wasn't doing what I knew I needed to be doing. And it took for me to get to that point to say, F this, I'm going to just do what I know I need to do. And, there's two people that help me with that. I'm going to give credit to the two people that helped me with that. One of them is, and she's not even here, but I'll tell her I did a shout out to her. One of them was Starlet. Starlet, my assistant. She was like my backbone. She was my backbone in doing that. And she was riding along with me on the whole down and up and down and up. And the other person is Billy Osbrooks with all his inspirations and everything that he said, just like sort of filled my spirit into doing it. So the point is that if you don't move on those inspirations, if you don't move on those things, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it for one of these reasons. So I just urge you, like we talked about urgency, I urge you that whatever it is you're sitting on, let's get with it. Let's do it already. Look at everything that has happened this year. How many losses, how many things. Like we see that life is very short. And things were moving very quickly and things change. Our reality changes very quickly. So move with whatever it is you need to move with. And I hope you guys, if you guys are ready to move on whatever it is that you're sitting on, just say, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to move. I want to see Elkie say I'm ready to move because, girl, I need to see Elkie say I'm ready to move. I need Zora to say I'm ready to move. I need Mimi to say I'm ready to move. I don't know Clinton like that.
You gotta say it with the head nod now. Look at you with the head nod. She getting the head nod in. Because I'm Cuban.
Oh, there's a lot of Cuban people here watching.
Because that's usually what you say. I don't hear them say it all the time. I hear you say it all the time. But listen, this is how I'm going to close it out.
Say it. Are you ready to move? Are you ready to take action? Are you ready to take action?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Are you ready to take action?
Huge action just to be on this with you.
What? you need to say, look, Jennifer says I'm ready. Jennifer just
I'm ready. I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready to go right now.
Already, Raymond's moving already. Raymond's doing that.
Listen. I gotta read this last thing. I broke my complete train of thought, but I want you guys to understand that when the destiny moments, right? These things, right, that fill you up. I want to read this in Romans 8:26. She brought scripture in there, so she started. No, not yet. So what I want to say is this. In Romans 8:26, it says the Holy Spirit helps us in our weakness. For example, we don't know what God wants us to pray for, but the Holy Spirit prays for us with groanings that cannot be expressed in words. That feeling that you get, that ultimate takeover, that shake that you get, that gut feeling that you get, those can't be expressed in words. That is the Holy Spirit getting a hold of you and trying to get you to think, feel, and react in a certain way. When you resist that, you're resisting the gift that has been given you. You must understand that you don't even know what you want most of the time. And when you don't seek, this is what I say. When people say, well, what's my purpose? And I say, stop pursuing your purpose and start pursuing the purpose giver, because he gives us our purpose. And when you seek him and you find him, he'll awaken that thing inside of you, and the Holy Spirit will take over, and the Holy Spirit will start to knock down barriers for you. And you got to have that faith. When you have that faith and you're willing to take that step and walk out into the unknown, because that's what it is. It's the unknown. But this is the crazy thing. When you resist your destiny, you're still walking in the unknown, because nobody knows what tomorrow brings. So either way, you're walking in the unknown. So freaking let's go get what we want.
So true. So true. So true. Woo woo. That was so good. I know Jennifer cracking up. Because she's sending me. She's sending me out. I randomly crack up, and it's because of Jennifer. Because she's sending me little messages on the side. But I saw an answer here, by the way. That was a great ending, and I'm pulling it back. But I saw a great answer here a little while ago. I think it was. an answer, which was, I think it was Oki. Oki said, I'm ready for something. She didn't say I'm ready to move. She said, I'm ready for something. So I want to urge everyone who's in confusion state, I want to urge you to become clear. You need to take the next few weeks to become clear, because as long as you're in confusion, you know what happens? You don't do anything. So do not stay in confusion mode. You need to find a resolution and take action, and you need to get to a point where you're clear on at least a direction that you want to go at. And as you go in that direction, things become more and more clear. Because if any of you could think about it, whenever you've been confused, you don't do anything. You don't decide at all, right? So we need to get out of confusion mode and get into some type of direction so that we could actually start making movement. So that's how I will end. Jennifer says, I will freaking go get what I want.
Get what I want. Stamp on it, baby. Stamp on it.
Jennifer, you gotta take me with you. I just saw when you text me. I'm gonna do the test with you too.
Whoa! I want to go.
No, you can't go. She says, how do I keep up with you? She texts me that. How do I keep up with all? And then you say, like, guys, I swear that he is Cuban as well, because he talks like.
No, that's called energy. That's called enthusiasm. That's called Irish blood, baby.
Well, that's Cuban. All right, guys. Good night. Thank you for being with us. We love you. We love you. We wish the best to you. Raymond's having a party all by herself.
Oh. In they city. Woo! Love you guys so much. Hey, listen, on this Wednesday night, tell yourself tonight when you go to bed. Tell yourself tonight when you go to bed that you are worthy, that you are ready, and that you will conquer. And wake up tomorrow and say, today is the day.
Read. Bye. Bye, everyone. Oh, wait. Before I get off, tomorrow, Transformational Talk, guys, 7:30.